You are viewing a video being created by the North Reading High School Guidance Department. This video is meant to serve as a tutorial for students and their families. In this video, we will review the steps a student must take to request to have his or her transcript sent to a college to which he or she is applying. Let me start with a few general reminders. Those wishing to view written instructions for requesting a transcript may do so in several places. Students can access the Google folder that is shared with them, typically during September or early October of their senior year. Remember that Google folder includes written instructions for requesting a transcript and also a wide variety of other resources that students may find helpful as they go through the college application process. Also within Naviance Student, which I do have up here on the screen, a Naviance Student account. Right on the home page, there is the document resources section that students can click on to access a variety of different help documents and also documents that they might use during the college application process. There is the pages section. Here, the North Reading High School Guidance Department has created a variety of custom web pages that students can access. So, for example, the requesting transcripts page would have written instructions for how to request a transcript. And many of these pages not only have written instructions, but they have links to videos like this one, video tutorials. Also, under updates, there is a section for help videos for seniors. So, seniors can access the different videos that we've made to help them with the college application process. If I want to expand any of these areas so that I can see all the resources, I can simply click on View All from my school. The other reminder I would like to give is that we ask or require that students make transcript requests 2 weeks prior to their application deadline. So, for example, if a student is applying to school with a December 1st deadline, we would ask that they request that a transcript be sent to that school at least 2 weeks prior to December 1st. Keep in mind that January 1st is a popular college application deadline. So what we ask students to do is make requests for January 1st deadlines at least 10 school days before we go on the winter break. That's just important so that we don't get inundated with requests either during the break or right before the break. So just keep that in mind. That's not typically an issue that we run into. Students are usually very good about sort of staying ahead of things and requesting transcripts on time. So let's get into actually talking about how to request a transcript. I'm going to break the process down into what I'll call four major steps with, lots of sort of sub steps. But step one is to hand in a release of records to your guidance counselor. So this is a one-time step. Once this release of records is given to a guidance counselor, a student, doesn't have to do it again. And the good news is that the vast majority of seniors are going to complete this form and give it to their guidance counselor at what we call the guidance seminars that are held with seniors. Um, that is when the guidance counselors usually meet with seniors during their social studies course and go over many things related to the college application process, including getting this release of records form completed. So then, step two, which is also a one time only step, um, step two requires students to match their common application and Naviance student accounts. Students need to match these accounts because doing so will allow their guidance counselor and any teachers who are writing a letter on their behalf to send the documents that they need to send electronically to any school that the students are using the common application for. The matching of accounts does include several sort of sub-steps, including setting up a common application account, completing something called the FERPA authorization release, and then actually matching the accounts. While I won't review that in this video, we do review that in several places, including we have a help video that walks a student through that sort of entire process. So that video might be accessed here. It may also be accessed under the pages section, and we have some written instructions for completing the process again of completing that FERPA waiver authorization and then going ahead and matching those accounts. And certainly your guidance counselor can help you with that also. But know that you can always refer to the different help resources we've been talking about. So once step 2 is completed, and again, that's only required of a student that's using the common application for one or more colleges. So once that's completed, a student can move on to step 3. If I've completed step 1 and step 2, and then I'm coming in later to request a transcript, I can simply sort of enter the process at this step, step 3. So to request a transcript within your Naviance Student account, you are going to go to the colleges section. You're going to go to colleges I'm applying to. And we're going to look for what we refer to as the large plus sign on the right side. So I'm in the colleges I'm applying to section. I'm going to click on this large plus sign. And I'm going to be starting the process for adding a college to my colleges I'm applying to area of Naviance Student. And then you'll see that sort of step 2 of this Naviance Student process will be to actually request that the transcript gets sent. So I'm going to use a couple schools as examples because they offer us different sort of things that the student will encounter as they're requesting these transcripts. So I'm first going to go to which college are you applying to, and I'm going to begin typing a college name. In this case, I'm going to use the abbreviation UMass. I know that that's going to get me a few of the schools I'm looking for here. Click on UMass Lowell in this case. Next, I'm going to answer the question application type. And this is an important step because what I choose here essentially sets the deadline that my guidance counselor and teacher will see. So, for example, if a school has a regular decision deadline of February 1st, but also offer an early action deadline of, say, November 1st, you see the difference in what, in terms of dates according to what I choose here. So if I click regular decision, it will look like my application deadline is February 1st, which is fine if that's what it is. If I click early action, it's going to show that deadline as November 1st. So pretty big difference. What I would recommend here is to keep this video to somewhat of a reasonable length, I will not go over every type of plan here, but I will just remind students that we typically share a document with definitions on each of these types of programs so that a student can review that document. And also, I'm going to strongly suggest that students want to go right to the web page of the college that they're planning to apply to and see what types of programs they offer in terms of application types. No college will offer all of these programs. There may be some colleges that offer only one. And I'll say that many colleges probably offer maybe two. They have some sort of maybe regular decision and some sort of early program, perhaps. So for UMass Lowell, I'm applying regular decision in this case, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. Then it's going to say, I will submit my application. And it'll say, I'm not sure yet, but I need to make a choice here. And when I click on that, I'm able to choose either via the Common Application or direct to the institution. So let me take a moment to explain this. When I am using the Common Application to apply to a school, I obviously want to indicate via the Common App here. Now, UMass Lowell is a school that accepts the Common Application, but still also publishes its own application. So a student can go to the UMass Lowell website, create some sort of an account, and submit the UMass Lowell application directly to the institution. So it's really important here that the student indicate what their plan is because it essentially turns a switch that um, routes the documents that my guidance counselor and or teacher will send in the right way. So um, when a student's using the Common Application, documents that a teacher or guidance counselor are sending leave the Naviance program. They go to the Common Application website, and for lack of a better way of putting it, basically like attach themselves to a student application, either that's there or that comes through later, and go out to the college. When a student is using the institution's application, it is very likely that the documents that a teacher or guidance counselor send are still going to be able to be sent electronically, but they go through a program called Parchment. It does not involve the Common Application at all. You can see where a student wants to make sure they're sort of setting the documents to go down the right track here. Um, a mistake here, not that I want to someone to over worry about this, but it does potentially cause documents to sort of get stuck and not be received by the college, which will be probably realized by the student eventually, but best if we can, avoid that situation. So in this case, I'm going to say direct to the institution for some reason the student has decided to use the UMass Lowell application instead of the Common Application, and so they've chosen direct to the institution. If a school, and I'll show you an example in a minute, but if a school is Common App exclusive, meaning they only accept the Common Application, they don't publish their own application, then the only option there would be via the Common App. And the same is true for a school that does not accept the Common Application. The only option is going to be direct to the institution. So if the students submitted their application, great, they can check the box here. If they haven't, no worries. The deadline's, at least 2 weeks away. So they can just leave that blank. That's just something that changes the status later. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit add and request transcript. Notice that I'm going to choose the blue button. I can't stress the importance of this enough for a student because if they only hit add application, then the school would go into the colleges I'm applying to. However, my guidance counselor or the student's guidance counselor would not receive a request for a transcript. I'm going to go ahead and hit add and request transcript. So this is really where I am requesting the transcript. So we want students to always hit initial transcript. We will not require students to make a transcript request for things like a final transcript. We work with students in the spring to see where they're going, and we make sure that we, submit their final transcript to the school. So student does not have to click that. We would suggest only clicking initial transcript here. Now it says, where are you sending the transcript? It's already pre-populated UMass Lowell because that's what I put on the previous page. And I'm going to hit request and finish. So I have just made a transcript request to UMass Lowell, and now it exists in the colleges I'm applying to. And that's basically step 3. I'm going to add another school in here just so I can show you a few things. So I've clicked on the plus sign. I am going to now add UMass Amherst. There it is, so I'll click on that. Application type, I know they have an early action deadline, so I'm going to choose early action in their case because that's what I've decided to use for UMass Amherst. And then in terms of the application I'm going to submit, remember I have to choose that. But in this case, my only choice is via the Common App. And that is because UMass Amherst is Common App exclusive. That is the only type of application you can submit to them. So I've got that all set. I'll say I have not submitted my application yet. Again, no big deal. I'm going to add and request a transcript. I'm going to do initial and request and finish. Okay, so now in the colleges I'm applying to, I have two schools, UMass Amherst, UMass Lowell. So again, let's just make note of a couple of things. I'm applying to UMass Lowell regular decision. I'm applying to UMass Amherst early action. November 1st deadline because of that early action, a February 1st deadline because of regular decision in this case. Um, by the way, this is a review of what's sort of in the colleges I'm applying to, which we call the final step for transcript request, step number 4. So I'm just checking both of my transcripts are requested, so that's good news. You know, office materials, that basically means the documents that are going to come out of guidance. Um, those are pending right now, and then I might see when my initial transcript is submitted, I might see initial material submitted. I do just want to show submission type here for a moment. So I indicated I was using the common application. So I see a computer screen, meaning that things can be sent electronically and that it is a common application school that I'll be using the common application for. For UMass Lowell, I have sort of that computer screen with the CA with the red line through. And that's because you might remember that I indicated when applying to UMass Lowell, I was going to use the UMass Lowell application. The good news is because a computer screen still exists there, I know by looking at that that means my guidance counselor and teachers are still going to be able to send information electronically, but that it's going to just use that system I referred to earlier called Parchment. So things still look pretty good. If you click on the little I under submission type, you'll get the different symbols that may show up. You will see there is something called a coalition application. Some students may be using the coalition application, but I'll just note that documents will go through to coalition schools electronically. Not too many students will probably run into a coalition application. It's a little more prevalent, I think, in the South, but if they do, no worries, things will still be able to go electronically. Again, if I see the CA without any other marking, it means it's a Common App school and that the documents will go electronically via the Common App servers. Here's that cross out, meaning the student is not using the Common App for a school that accepts it, but that things will still be able to be submitted electronically. Here's something a little different. This means that the student has, put a school in that does utilize the Common App, but they have indicated that they are not utilizing it. And while it might be difficult to tell, what this is transformed into is not the typical computer screen we've seen, but a little stamp, a postage stamp. Students won't run into this often, but we do want them to check for this symbol under submission status because this means the documents will have to be sent will have to be sent via what I'll call old-fashioned mail to the college. So we can work with the student to get those documents out of guidance. We'll take care of that easily, but the student will want to complete some extra steps for their teachers, including providing them with stamped envelopes so that a teacher can get any required teacher letters out. A computer screen without any CA involved just means that it is one of those schools that will accept electronic documents from sort of Naviance through that parchment system. A computer screen with a question mark just means that the student forgot to indicate what type of application they're using, so they probably want to go back in and go ahead and change that and say, yes, I'm using the Common App or I'm using the institution's own app. And just a plain postage stamp means that probably the school is not a common application school, but they still don't accept things electronically, so things will need to be mailed. Again, guidance counselors will take care of that automatically, but um, the students can speak with their guidance counselor about extra steps they can take to make sure the teachers are able to mail letters, etc. So really just wanted to show that a student can access that information. Here they really should check those delivery methods in particular, keeping an eye out for those postage stamp symbols. Um, so just a few things in closing, a few other helpful hints. Um, Anytime a student has requested a transcript from a guidance counselor and has also set up the guidance counselor with the required paperwork for the counselor to write a letter on the student's behalf, please know that the guidance counselor letter essentially goes with the student's transcript. So no additional steps have to be taken in this case to set up a guidance counselor to be able to send their letter electronically. We will have a help video on what paperwork needs to be completed for a guidance counselor recommendation, but no other steps within Naviance have to actually be completed for a guidance counselor to be able to send his or her letter. That is different for teachers. There are additional steps to go in after you've made a transcript request and request that a teacher send his or her letter to the college that you're having your transcript sent to. So we will have a separate video and separate written instructions on that a student can access. But just know that when a teacher is writing a letter on your behalf, after you've made your transcript request, you just have to take a few more steps to ensure the teacher's letter can go to the college or university. We hope you found this video helpful. And as always, see your guidance counselor with any questions. And don't forget to access the resources that exist in the places shown earlier in this video. Thank you.